Hey guys, this is John here in Los Angeles with the Out Channel update for Saturday, November 2nd, 2024. The Yggdrasil deck is gone. We finished it. So that's two decks. We did the Wildwood Tarot deck, and the Hakur Halderson Yggdrasil deck. And now we are moving on to something a little bit different. This is the Conflicted card deck, which every one of these, I believe there's 52 cards, because they all have, they're playing cards. They all have little sayings on them. They all have little scenarios about the end of the world, zombie apocalypse, an EMP, World War III, some sort of end of the world scenario. And so I'm going to hold this up and read it off to you guys at the same time. But now I'm really holding it, but I'm reading it, but I'm holding it, but I'm reading it, but I'm holding it. Your son or daughter died because someone nearby had resources and they didn't share. You tried to barter with them and they refused every opportunity to barter, and you feel they did it out of selfishness. Would you attempt to take revenge on them, or would you just let it be, as it's their resources to do with as they see fit? So this is the Conflicted deck. These aren't really writing prompts, but they could be. And if we were to do a few of these, well, we'll do one every day. That's a good one. That's the 7 of Diamonds. We'll do one every day. And if you guys will start to recognize that just putting forth the question can have an emotional impact and change how you feel. It's kind of like watching something terrible happen online on one of the doom scrolls. All of the social media things are the same at this point. You can see almost anything these days. It's basically faces of death almost. I mean, you can see a snuff film anywhere. Cop videos. So this Conflicted deck, this is pretty powerful. What would you do if someone you knew had resources and your son or daughter starved to death? It's asking a lot. Today's comic is Conan, King Conan number 3. And I discovered these aren't glued. The staples are here inside the cover. I think the cover is glued. But this is, I think this has got a different name besides saddle stitch. I think saddle stitch is when you staple it in the middle. Or maybe this is saddle stitched, I don't know. But here is the cover. This is Conan and Khan going through a swamp. They're following, the Nile River is the only river that flows south. And they're going into Africa. And in this book, it is my opinion that Toth Amon, is Toth Amon here on the cover? I don't think he is. Toth Amon is behind all the nonsense going on, and I think Roy Thomas and John Buscema used Toth Amon as a stand-in for the Rothschilds. And this black shaman wizard is being put up to fight Conan by Toth Amon. But here is Conan invading the Stygian lands to the south. They're following the Nile south. They're in these swamps. Khan's complaining about it. And look in the background, all the army that didn't get colored. When you look at things like that, it's kind of a shame, You really wish they'd had either the time or the ability. Maybe it was the 4-color pass that really couldn't let them fill out these soldiers right here and make them stand out, And also, this is a very old comic. It's not just my eyes that are blurry. This is very muddy. It's hard to see because it's old. And, it's newsprint. I don't think it's very faded. I don't think it's been read a lot, though. So here, also Conan's guys, his assistants' names are Trocero and not Prospero. So it's something else. Like, I'll look it up and tell you guys right now. So Conan's 2 assistants are right here, his 2 main guys, and they are Palantides and Trocero. I got their names wrong yesterday. I try to catch up with things when I get the names wrong and to correct some names wrong that I got a while back. Jeremy Klein, hookups, Jamie Thomas. Jamie I had right, but I thought his name was Jamie too. It's Jeremy. And apparently him and Mike Valively were the two most aggressive skaters of the 80s and 90s. The two guys who tried to fight with everybody. But, so back to the comic book. They are finally out of the swamps and make camp. And everyone is in relatively good spirits. They're still chasing Toth Amon. Conan is still on the road with his son Khan. And there is some conversation about should they send him back? Would it be safer to send him back? And he says, no, I'm not going to. He's going to stay with me. And I get this. In theory, the safest place for him is in the center of the army next to his father, because at home, his mom would be the one trying to fend off hostage attempts, right? Like people trying to kidnap him. That would be his mom. It's much better if Conan's doing it. So here we get Conan and the team. Yes. Conan and the team are planning, they have dinner, and then someone attacks. And so we get a couple pages, but the bottom of the second page is one of the guys coming in from the perimeter saying, they're attacking, and everyone's like, we don't see anybody on the horizon. And he's like, no, they're coming in from the sky. And look at the cover here. In this one, Africans ride dragons, but we know Africans can't even tame plants, let alone animals. I don't think the Africans domesticated any animals. They can't even domesticate fields. So they're not domesticated themselves. How can they domesticate animals, let alone dragons? I don't think Africans even tamed horses. But so here we get the dragons attack. They carry off Conan and Khan. And at first, Conan thinks it's just him that they've got. Well, first Conan cuts one of their heads off, which is nice. So this is still the fight. 2 pages of fight. John Buscema and Roy Thomas. There's a different inker. They call him an embellisher in this one. Can you imagine if... I know that it's not possible that John Buscema was doing this and Conan the Barbarian at the same time. He probably left Conan the Barbarian to do this. And that's when Michael Dougherty moved on to Conan the Barbarian. I'm so glad this character really did get a good turn by Marvel Comics. And it's nowhere near as polluted as this superhero stuff, which is half gay. So here Conan gets carried off and realizes that Khan has been carried off as well, that he's behind him. And they're being taken to the African village. This is a nice drawing of the Hulk. I think that's probably Kirby. Might be somebody else. It is a cool drawing though, isn't it? Jay, who drew my comic, was a storyboard artist for the Hulk for a while, for the Hulk cartoon out here in LA. So here, Conan and Khan get brought to this African city, which clearly was built by white Rhodesians and then abandoned. And the Africans live there now. There's supposedly these topless towers, which are basically stables for the dragons. They're giant silos. And so this is the first trope. Conan goes to jail. First trope, Conan goes to jail. That's the second trope. First trope is Conan throws a sword. Second trope is Conan goes to jail. And this is Toth Amon right there, looking like a Rothschild. And, obviously, Venger from, with his broken horn from Dungeons and Dragons is modeled on that photo, that drawing of Toth Amon right there. There's no doubt about it in my mind. So Conan and Khan are hostage and they're sent to jail. Oh, they're held before the Black King, and Toth makes some proclamations about how he's going to kill them right now. And the Black King says, no, we're going to sacrifice them at the Red Moon in 12 days or 14 days, and you don't make the rules, I do. So they have a little bit of a, back and forth bickering power struggle, this sort of dynamic right here. Mom and dad are arguing. The two evil guys don't get along and are bickering. This is a level up from Super Friends, right? Or, I suppose the old G.I. Joe, everyone was bickering with Cobra Commander, and Megatron and Starscream were always bickering. But the way this is written by Roy Thomas really is a level up. This is at least, bad soap opera. And daytime television, I think everyone would agree, is slightly more literate than comic books. Comic books are basically considered to be just wrestling, drawn wrestling with a little bit of talking back and forth. So there is a lot of literature to Conan, though. And there's a lot of literature in comics in general. I think one of the ones we're going to do soon is going to be 100 Bullets. But I did just put in an order for all the Tarzan, Marvel Tarzan, which is Roy Thomas. And maybe not Roy Thomas, but John Buscema anyhow. I think it's Roy Thomas and John Buscema. So it's just a skinnier version of Conan and a little bit less literate. But in some ways less bloodthirsty, more empathetic, because he's less human. So here Conan and Khan are in prison. And Conan's like, don't worry about this kid. I got this. I've been in prison every issue. This is like, we're going on a couple hundred now. Don't worry, I'll get us out of this. We've got a couple weeks. That's nothing. Usually they're going to put me to death in a day. So yeah, father and son in jail. On the road, It's the way of the road, Bubbles. It's the way of the road. So here we get, this is good stuff. This prisoner across the hall from Khan and Conan is the twin of the king who is on the throne. And they always used to be twins. And he tells Conan that if he can get out of here, he can rescue them. He can get his people to rise up against the current king. And meanwhile, this is a statue who these people worship, and they're getting ready. They're doing their prayers for the sacrifice, the ritual sacrifice coming up. And this is all exposition, essentially. Meanwhile, Palantides and Trocero send in this skinny guy to sneak into the city, the no-gate city-state. That was one of the things Roy Thomas put in this, is that there's no gates. They only fly in and out. So that's a challenge he wrote in for the good guys. And so these guys had to follow the flying dragons. That's why it's taken them almost 2 weeks to get there. They had to go through these swamps when Conan and Khan were flown in. So they finally arrive, and then this guy sneaks in through the sewer, and eventually through the sewer, and it's almost time for the great sacrifice. The red moon is coming, and you see Conan's face is all red, like he knows that it's a full moon, and the guy still hasn't gotten to him. But Conan knows that his soldiers have to be getting close. And then here he shows up. And Conan's tried pulling at the bars. He hasn't been able to break them. He couldn't find any tunnels. Although he's gotten out that way before. He's bent the bars before. And so this guy gets in, and he can't pick the lock because Toth, Conan surmises, has magicked the lock, and it can't be picked. But the guy across the hall, his lock is not magically locked, and his lock can be picked. So Conan's assistant frees that guy, and gives Conan a knife. He frees the guy across the hall and gives Conan his knife. They call it a poignard in this one, which really means a long knife, like this one. I suppose this would be a poignard. This is a Fairbairn Sykes World War II British fighting knife. I think it actually came out in World War I, but they made a bunch of them. I really love how the size of the handle and just that it's all black and that it's one solid piece as opposed to the K-bar, which has that unscrewed top and it has a really big, like, meaty handle. This is much more ninja. This is way more ninja. And it's all black. It's really expensive. It's one solid piece of steel. How do you go wrong with that? You can never have enough ninja weapons. It's right over here next to these swords. You guys probably can't see these swords either. Oh, that's why it won't lock. Check these out. These are good ones. Red. And they've got the leather on the handle goes through onto the scabbard, so you have to actually unsnap it, so it can't just come out of the sheath while you're riding your horse. You have to actually unsnap it. I've got two of them over here. Red ones, these big red ones. Oops, there goes a comic book. Same thing. This is a really nice one. The guns are off camera, so you guys can't see those, because you can get in trouble with YouTube for the guns. I'm not going to show those off. So here, Conan gets the knife, called a poignard, which is clearly a French name. Jeanne d'Arc. Jeanne d'Arc. And here they get led out to the sacrifice. Conan and Khan are being led out to the sacrifice. There's no Hyperboreans and there's no of that little Asian guy, but there is this serpent wizard over here with Toth, and he wants to kill Conan, and Toth wants to kill Conan, and Conan and Khan are chained to the floor by their wrists and ankles, and the chains are new, but the rings holding them to the floor are not. And so where Conan couldn't break the bars of his cell, he can break the bars of these chains. And I love, this is the typical Roy Thomas get it done, not Roy Thomas, but John Buscema get it done with lots of panels in just a couple pages. And I really love this fight. This is a great sequence. These 2 pages with the snake is being called in by magic, by green smoke. And not just these 2 pages. I love this page right here with the snake up against the red moon. That's pretty awesome. Sorry if my finger is covering it. But wait till you see this. These 2 pages. Wow. Wow. Look at how good that is. This is John Buscema at his best. John Buscema at his best. Fighting the magic of evil Rothschilds. And then after 4 pages of good battle, yeah, we can deal with 2 pages of ads. Okay, that's fine. The battle's not even over yet. The battle continues. And Khan gets a hold of Conan's knife. And Conan doesn't throw a sword. His son does. Isn't that fucking awesome? And he doesn't throw it. Toth is a little bit too far away. Maybe he doesn't throw it. Maybe he just stabs him. Yeah, he just proper stabs him. Down here, the bottom panel on this page. And Toth sees him but doesn't act quickly enough. And the green smoke demon evaporates. And Toth rides a dragon out of town. And that is just, it would have, the only thing that could have made it better is if Khan had thrown it. That's the only thing that, and this is a pretty good issue. And this is a lot of pages too. Give me a second, I'm gonna look and see how many. So yeah, this is page 40. And there's a few more. It's a double-sized page book. King Conan is a double-sized comic, which is awesome. Which is absolutely awesome. I wonder if these were coming out monthly. They couldn't be, right? This has to be every 2 months. And now here, Conan is dead for a panel. And this is the guy that Khan just killed in inverted color. And then Conan starts to breathe again and comes back to life. But there's this guy laughing at him because he thinks Conan's dead with him. And then Conan's not. And he comes back to life. And here is Toth Amon riding out of town on the back of a lizard, on the back of a dragon, down at the bottom of this second page. This is as good as, and look, this is everything those other Conan comics weren't, which makes me think the other Conan military comics weren't, with Mike Doherty. Nothing against Mike Doherty and the other guest pencilers. But if Roy Thomas is writing 4 issues a month, if he's doing Savage Sword, Conan the Barbarian, King Conan, and whatever else, an annual or a fill-in issue here or there, if he's doing that, even three a month, and he's only doing plot outlines to get to, and then the artist goes and draws it all, John Buscema is clearly giving it, or maybe these issues he's spending more time writing these and not as much time writing the other ones when the 22 pages or 40 pages of art come back. So here Conan and Khan are wondering, what should we do? Should we head back home? And he's like, hell no, we're going after Toth Amon. We're going to chase him to the end of the world. This is as good as comics get. And Toth Amon really is a stand-in for the Rothschilds. This is the Kalergi plan. Because over and over and over again, they say they want to destroy the West. And that's what's going on. That's what's happening in the world. If it wasn't happening in the world, if there was no culture war, believe me, I would not be out here doing this. Legacy of Mad Scientist, Legend of Ashley Fox, 2 amazing audiobooks here for you on YouTube, along with our own comic book. Here in the description, Ashley Fox Ninja Babysitter number 6, the Ashley Fox The Last Valkyrie, where Ashley meets Valeria and gets promoted to the Order of the Valkyrie while she's trying to stop kids from being Pizzagated. And it's pretty awesome. I love working on this stuff. I was drawing some more today and writing some more. I've been skating a lot, so I've been sleeping a lot. I got out for an hour of skating today. Got out yesterday and got out one day earlier this week, probably like Wednesday, not Thursday. Today's only Saturday. So I got out Friday and Saturday. That's 2 days in a row. That's more skating that I've done in the past 4 days. I think there's only maybe 2 days off. Maybe it was Tuesday that I went. And then was off Wednesday and Thursday and went out Friday and Saturday. Yes. If I could go tomorrow too, why not? Why not? Should I talk about any nonsense, any anti-Jewish? I'm not anti-Semitic. I have nothing against desert people. I hate Jews. I hate Jews because of who they are, because of what they're doing, because they feel they have the right to run the world. They have the right to invade white countries. They feel they have the right to invade Ireland and Germany with blacks. And the Kalergi plan, you guys should look it up and know what it is. It's what's going on. It's what a lot of people are afraid to talk about for the last few years. They did COVID, they killed JFK, the USS Liberty, blah, 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 blah. It's going to be interesting what happens with this election, because either way, Donald Trump is owned by Jews and Kamala is owned by Jews, or Kamala, however you want to say her name. She's owned by Jews. I suppose people have the right to determine how you say their name, you know. If you're going to say their name, at least say it the way they want. If you're going to kill a man, it costs you nothing to be polite, as they say. And a gentleman is never rude. There's an spacing on it now. How does it go? A gentleman is never rude by accident, or something like that. It's embarrassing to space on it. The actor that I forgot the other day who was in Drive is named Albert Brooks. Of course, I remember that as soon as I got off the air, as soon as I ended the stream. But how does it go? is never accidentally rude. A gentleman is never accidentally rude. So if someone's rude to you and they do it deliberately, then they're doing it deliberately and they want to fight you. Like if I'm rude to you somewhere, if someone well-spoken who like, it's funny. I saw Henry Cavill doing this bit about the negative compliment. And so movie stars, because everyone's so touchy, this would have been at the sort of the beginning of COVID, because everyone's so touchy and those guys, like Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt and George Clooney are all into pranking each other. I guess on Ocean's 11 they did a lot of that. And I suppose there was some of it on the Missions Impossibles movies, and Henry Cavill's kind of in that crowd now. Although he hasn't done a lot of movies with them, he's still kind of a separate, unique sort of figure. He was showing off on like one of the shows, either Jimmy Kimmel or the other Jimmy Fallon, and he was talking about how they do the insulting compliment, and they'll say something really nice about someone in a really negative tone, as opposed to saying something really negative about someone in a really nice tone. And I was watching how Harlan Ellison in like the late 70s said, I can piss off half this crowd. I'm here at this college and you guys all love me because I attack the people that you hate. But I could make a simple statement and make you all hate me in just a moment. And they got really quiet. And he goes, you want to hear it? And they all cheered. He's like, you sure? And they cheered. And he goes, Star Wars is for imbeciles. And they all got really quiet again. And then he went off on all the reasons Star Wars is for idiots. And this is part of the reason I don't make jokes, because I would be like Daniel Tosh or the other guy who's Nick Ananopoulos or something like that. Humor has an element of cutting, and I can be cutting it to myself. It's easy because I'm an idiot in a lot of ways. I'm a very smart idiot. I do a lot of stupid things. Today I spilled a huge glass of milk all over the floor, and for one of the first times in my life, I really didn't get mad. I just refused to feel anything. And I've been able to do that in the past. I was able to do that as a kid. It's a nice skill to call on, but today I didn't have to choose it. There was just no feeling. There was like, okay, now you've got to clean up. It sucked. It was coffee and milk, and so. But anyhow, being that ruthless and being that mean is something I've decidedly not leaned into. And that's sort of where a lot of humor comes from. And so, Harlan Ellison doing that to a crowd of people is something you have to be careful about. And it's something, like, I don't want to do contempt for the audience. I don't really have contempt for anyone. As much as I hate Jews, I don't hate them as individuals. Like, I can hate a group of people and not want to beat up the individuals. I just can. And maybe that's schizophrenia or cognitive dissonance or hypocrisy, but I can appreciate Antoine Dixon's skating and not wanting to date my sister. Like, I don't know. It does seem we are in strange times. We are in, what's that? The Hunter S. Thompson quote, when times get weird, the weird go pro. So, see you guys tomorrow.